Lesson number 59. Success does not come from luck but from effort and perseverance. Sequoias once said that nothing can replace effort and perseverance in the journey toward achievement. Whether one possesses natural talent or not, without consistent hard work and determination, lasting success will never be possible. This timeless wisdom reminds us that the foundation of all true accomplishments lies not in luck, but in persistence and self-discipline. Long ago, there lived a young man named David, born into a poor family. Though his life was filled with hardship and scarcity, David firmly believed that as long as he worked hard, he would one day achieve his dreams. His spirit was bright and full of hope, but life soon tested his resolve. When he entered school, he faced fierce competition and found himself without anyone's help or support. The challenges were overwhelming, and in the early days, discouragement began to take root in his heart. He often wondered whether he truly had the ability to succeed or if success simply wasn't meant for someone like him. One afternoon, as David sat beneath an old oak tree to rest his weary mind, he heard laughter nearby. A small boy ran past him, calling out joyfully, "Teacher, I'm running a race, and I won't stop until I reach the finish line." Those innocent words struck a deep chord within David. He watched the child disappear into the distance, and at that moment, he realized something powerful. Success is not a matter of talent or circumstance. It is born from unyielding effort. Inspired by that simple truth, David made a promise to himself. No matter how difficult the road ahead, he would never give up. Days turned into months and months into years. David studied diligently, practiced tirelessly, and faced every obstacle with courage. There were times when exhaustion tempted him to quit. Yet the memory of the child's determination always reignited his strength. Slowly but surely, his efforts began to bear fruit. He gained respect, mastery, and wisdom in his chosen field. After many years, David finally rose to prominence. Admired not only for his talent but for his unwavering perseverance, his story became a beacon of hope to those around him. A living reminder that effort and persistence are the true keys to unlocking success. In today's fast-paced world, this lesson remains more relevant than ever. Many chase instant results, forgetting that real success is built day by day through patience, resilience, and dedication. David's journey teaches us that even when the odds seem impossible, those who refuse to quit will always find their way to victory. Because in the end, luck may open a door, but only effort and perseverance can keep it open. Lesson number 60. Be an example for others to follow. Confucius once taught that instead of giving empty words, a true gentleman should lead by example. Our actions have a deeper impact than any speech, and when we live as a model of integrity, others naturally follow without the need for persuasion. This principle reminds us that influence is not built through authority or commands, but through character and consistency. During the spring and autumn period, there lived a man named Michael, a respected official in the royal court. Michael was known for his honesty and moral uprightness. He always carried himself with integrity, yet he often felt disheartened because, despite his example, some people still failed to notice or follow his ways. He wondered if his efforts to live righteously truly made any difference. One day, Michael met a young man in his village named Kevin, who was often in trouble and showed little interest in learning or improving himself. Instead of scolding him, Michael decided to take a different approach. He invited Kevin to accompany him on his daily duties throughout the kingdom. As they traveled together, Kevin watched as Michael handled every task with unwavering dedication, fairness, and sincerity. Whether reviewing documents, resolving disputes, or advising others, Michael never neglected even the smallest detail. He approached every action with humility and precision, treating everyone from the noble to the commoner with respect and justice. One afternoon, Kevin, filled with curiosity, asked, "Sir, why do you always take such great care in everything you do, even the smallest matters?" Michael smiled gently and replied, "Setting an example is the best way to teach. Learn from what I do, not just from what I say." Those words struck Kevin deeply. He realized that Michael's actions carried lessons far greater than any lecture could provide. The consistency, humility, and care that Michael displayed each day became living proof of his values. Inspired, Kevin began to change. He worked harder, listened more, and applied the lessons he observed in his mentor's behavior. Over time, Kevin transformed into an excellent student, disciplined, thoughtful, and wise. The people of the kingdom soon came to know Michael not only as a noble official, but as a shining example whose influence shaped an entire generation. In today's world, this ancient lesson remains profoundly relevant. In families, workplaces, and communities, leadership is not about commanding others but inspiring them through action. Words can persuade, but behavior teaches. When we live with integrity, discipline, and kindness, we silently guide those around us toward the same path. As Confucius taught, true leadership begins not with speech but with example. The most powerful way to change others and the world is to live the values you wish to see in them. Lesson 61. Never do what you don't understand. Confucius once taught that before starting any task, we must first understand it clearly. When we act without true understanding, mistakes are inevitable, and even the best intentions can lead to failure. Knowing exactly what we are doing is one of the most important foundations for success. It allows us to move forward with confidence, avoid unnecessary risks, and make wise decisions. There was once a man named Thomas who came to Confucius seeking advice. "Master," he said, "I want to start a new business venture, but I'm not sure if I will succeed." Confucius looked at him calmly and asked, "Before you begin, do you truly understand the field you wish to enter?" Thomas hesitated for a moment before replying, "I know a little about it, but I want to try and see what happens." Confucius nodded slowly, then said, "If you do something without understanding it fully, you will easily fall into failure. Take time to study it thoroughly before you act. Only when you truly understand can you succeed." These words struck Thomas deeply. He realized that enthusiasm alone was not enough. Wisdom must come before action. Inspired by the master's advice, he decided to pause his plans. Instead of rushing forward, he spent months studying the business world, learning from experienced people, reading books, and analyzing every detail of the industry he wanted to enter. Over time, his understanding grew. What once seemed complex and uncertain became clear and manageable. With careful preparation and confidence in his knowledge, Thomas finally launched his project. This time, every step he took was grounded in understanding. He anticipated problems before they appeared, made better decisions, and steadily built his success years later. People admired Thomas not only for his wealth, but for his wisdom and patience. He often shared Confucius' teaching with others: do not act blindly. Learn before you leap. His story became a timeless reminder that preparation is not a delay. It is the first step toward mastery. In today's fast-paced world, where people often chase quick results, this lesson remains incredibly relevant. Acting without understanding, whether in business, relationships, or personal growth, often leads to regret. But when we take the time to learn, to think, and to plan, success becomes not a matter of luck, but of clarity and purpose. As Confucius said, understanding is the root of all success. Before we act, we must first know. Lesson 62. A person who knows themselves will never be deceived. Confucius once said that when we truly understand ourselves, our strengths, weaknesses, and core values, we will not be easily deceived or distracted by others. Self-awareness is the foundation of wisdom. It protects us from manipulation and helps us make clear, confident decisions in life. Long ago, there was a merchant named Leon, well known in his hometown for his honesty and sharp business sense. Through years of hard work, Leon had built a solid reputation and earned the trust of many traders. One day, during a trading trip to a distant city, he encountered a cunning swindler who tried to take advantage of him. The swindler approached Leon with a friendly smile and said, "Sir, I have a rare batch of goods you won't find anywhere else. If you buy them now, you'll make a great profit." The offer sounded tempting, but Leon noticed something odd about the man's behavior and the merchandise he presented. The colors seemed off, and the texture of the materials didn't match their description. Calmly, Leon looked at the man and asked, "Tell me, why do you think I would buy these goods without knowing their true quality?" The swindler froze, unable to respond. Leon continued, "I've been in this trade for many years. I know exactly what I'm looking for and what I value. If you want to deceive someone, you'll need to find another target." Embarrassed and speechless, the man quickly left. Leon not only protected himself from being cheated, but also taught the deceiver a silent lesson about self-awareness and integrity. This story reminds us that knowing ourselves, our purpose, our limits, and our principles gives us strength. When we are clear about who we are, we become less vulnerable to flattery, deceit, or external pressure. We stop chasing illusions and start walking our own path with confidence and clarity. In today's world, full of manipulation, social media influence, and misleading appearances, Confucius's teaching is more relevant than ever. Many people lose themselves trying to follow trends or please others, forgetting what truly matters to them. But those who take time to understand their values and goals can see through deception and stay true to their direction. As Confucius implied, self-knowledge is the strongest armor. When you know who you are, no one can easily lead you astray. Lesson 63. If you cannot help, at least do no harm. Confucius once taught that in life, if we cannot help others, we should at least make sure not to harm them. Sometimes, silence and non-interference are the wisest ways to maintain peace and harmony. Not every problem requires action, and not every situation needs our involvement. Understanding when to step back is as valuable as knowing when to step forward. Long ago, there lived a man named Samuel, known throughout his village for his kindness and willingness to help others. Whenever someone faced trouble, Samuel was always the first to offer assistance. His heart was generous and he believed that helping others was the highest form of virtue. One day, however, Samuel encountered a situation that challenged his understanding of kindness. A close friend of his had fallen into great difficulty facing personal and financial troubles that Samuel did not have the means or knowledge to fix. Feeling helpless, he worried that doing nothing would make him appear uncaring. For hours, he wrestled with guilt, unsure of what to do. In the end, Samuel decided to simply be present. He stayed by his friend's side, saying little, but offering quiet companionship. He didn't give advice or try to fix what he couldn't control. He simply listened. The next day, his friend came to him with gratitude in his eyes. "Samuel," he said, "even though you couldn't directly help me, your presence comforted me. You didn't make my situation worse, and your calmness gave me peace." Samuel was deeply moved. At that moment, he realized what Confucius meant, that sometimes not interfering is the most compassionate act of all. A kind word, a calm presence, or even silence can carry immense power. From that day on, Samuel lived by a simple yet profound principle: if you cannot help, at least do no harm. In today's society, this lesson carries timeless wisdom. In our rush to offer opinions, advice, or criticism, we often forget that good intentions can still cause harm when expressed carelessly. Social media arguments, gossip, and judgmental words can wound others more deeply than we realize. Confucius's teaching reminds us to act with mindfulness. If we cannot contribute positively, it is better to remain silent, to give others space, and to avoid adding to their pain. True wisdom lies not only in what we do, but also in what we choose not to do. Sometimes, the greatest help we can offer is simply peace. Lesson 64. We cannot change the past, but we can shape the future. Confucius once said that no matter what our past holds, we cannot live forever within it. The past cannot be undone, but the future is still ours to create. Instead of dwelling on mistakes or regrets, we should focus on what lies ahead. For every decision we make today shapes the life we will live tomorrow. There once was a man named Victor, who carried a deep sense of guilt over a mistake he had made years ago. In his youth, he had turned down an important opportunity that could have changed his life. That decision haunted him for many years, filling his heart with regret and self-blame. Each night, he would replay the memory, asking himself, "What if I had chosen differently?" The weight of the past chained his spirit, keeping him from seeing the possibilities of the present. One quiet afternoon, Victor sat beneath an ancient oak tree in his garden, lost in thought. The gentle rustle of leaves seemed to whisper the same sorrowful tune of his regrets. As he sat there, an old wise man passed by and noticed Victor's troubled expression. The old man smiled kindly and asked, "My friend, why do you look so heavy-hearted? What burdens your mind?" Victor sighed and replied, "I made a terrible mistake in my past one I cannot undo. I missed my chance, and I've never been able to forgive myself." The old man paused for a moment, then said softly, "You cannot change the past, but you can change the future. Each sunrise brings a new beginning, a new opportunity to shape your life. Don't let yesterday's shadows block the light of today." Those words struck Victor deeply. He realized that while he could not rewrite his past, he still had power over his choices moving forward. The next morning, he woke with a renewed sense of purpose. Instead of mourning what was lost, he focused on what could still be gained. He began learning new skills, reconnecting with old friends, and pursuing opportunities that reignited his passion for life. With time, Victor rebuilt his confidence. Success did not come overnight, but each small step forward became a victory over his regret. People around him began to notice his transformation, inspired by his resilience and optimism. In the end, Victor understood what the wise man and Confucius had both taught, that the past is a teacher, not a prison. What matters most is not what has been lost, but what we choose to do next. In today's world, this lesson remains timeless. Everyone makes mistakes, but true wisdom lies in learning, forgiving oneself, and moving forward. The past cannot be changed, but the future is still waiting to be written. Lesson 65. Don't pray for an easy life. Pray for the strength to overcome challenges. Confucius once taught that we should not wish for a life free of challenges, because hardships are an inevitable part of existence. Instead of praying for an easier path, we should pray for the strength, courage, and wisdom to overcome whatever stands in our way. True growth comes not from comfort, but from endurance and perseverance. There once was a man named Chris who had experienced many failures in both work and life. Each time he fell, disappointment weighed heavily on him. Frustrated and tired, Chris often prayed for his life to become easier, for obstacles to disappear and luck to finally turn in his favor. But no matter how much he wished, difficulties continued to find him. Problems grew larger and he began to feel hopeless. One day, while walking through his village, Chris met an old friend, a wise elder known for his calm strength and resilience. This man had endured countless hardships throughout his life, yet he always seemed composed and steady, never broken by circumstance. Curious and desperate for understanding, Chris asked, "How have you faced so many hardships and still remained so strong?" The elder smiled gently and replied, "I never prayed for life to be easy. I prayed for the strength to overcome its challenges. Every difficulty has shaped who I am today. Remember this, my friend, only when you endure trials do you truly grow." Those words struck deep in Chris's heart. That night, instead of praying for a smoother road, he prayed for courage, patience, and strength. The next morning, he approached his struggles differently, no longer seeing them as punishments, but as opportunities to learn and build resilience. Over time, Chris began to change. He faced failure with calm determination, learned from mistakes, and found creative ways to solve problems. Though life remained difficult, his heart grew stronger. The storms that once frightened him became tests that forged his spirit. In the years that followed, Chris succeeded not because life became easier, but because he became tougher. He realized that strength doesn't come from avoiding pain, but from confronting it with faith and perseverance. In today's world, where many seek comfort and instant results, this teaching from Confucius remains timeless. Life will never be without trials, but how we face them defines who we become. So don't wish for an easy road, wish for the strength to walk it bravely, because in overcoming challenges, we find the true meaning of growth. Lesson 66. Learning without thinking is useless. Thinking without learning is dangerous. Confucius once taught that true wisdom comes from the balance between learning and reflection. To learn without thinking leads to shallow understanding, while to think without learning leads to confusion and error. Only by combining both study and contemplation can one gain genuine insight and make wise decisions in life. Long ago, there was a young student named Henry, known for his diligence and love of study. Every day, Henry filled his notebooks with lessons from his teachers. He memorized every phrase, every definition, and every theory. His memory was sharp, and his ambition was great. Yet, despite all his effort, he often felt lost when asked to explain what those lessons truly meant. One afternoon, Confucius noticed Henry sitting quietly in the courtyard, surrounded by scrolls and books. The master approached and asked gently, "Henry, do you truly understand what you have been learning?" Henry straightened up proudly and replied, "Teacher, I study a lot every day. I memorize everything, but I don't have time to stop and think. There's always more to learn." Confucius smiled kindly and said, "My child, learning without thinking is like eating without digesting. You may take in much, but nothing nourishes your mind. If you only memorize words without understanding their meaning, your knowledge will fade like ink in the rain. Reflection turns information into wisdom. It gives your learning life and purpose." Henry felt embarrassed but inspired. That night, instead of rushing to read more lessons, he sat quietly and reflected on what he had already learned. He asked himself questions. Why did this principle matter? How could it be used in real life? What did it teach about people and the world? Over time, something remarkable happened. The lessons that once seemed abstract became clear and alive. He began to connect ideas, to see patterns, and to apply his knowledge in real situations. His understanding deepened, and soon, even his teacher noticed the change. Henry no longer repeated lessons by rote. He spoke with thought, reason, and conviction. From then on, Henry became not just a diligent student, but a wise one. He had learned the greatest lesson of all, that learning and thinking must walk hand in hand. In today's world, Confucius's words still hold profound truth. Many people chase information but forget to reflect. Knowledge alone does not make us wise, only understanding does. So remember, to learn is good, but to think deeply is what gives learning its true meaning. And so, through these 8 timeless lessons from Confucius, we are reminded that wisdom is not something far away. It is found in how we live each day, whether it is knowing when to stop, learning to understand ourselves, working with sincerity, choosing silence, standing by our friends, or leading with morality and reason. Each story carries a truth that still speaks to us today. Life will always bring challenges, but when we walk with integrity, patience, and wisdom, we find the strength to rise above them. These lessons are not just words from the past, they are guiding lights for our future. If these stories touched your heart, imagine what more we can discover together. Stay with us, because in the next videos, we'll continue to explore the teachings that can shape our lives and inspire us to grow stronger, wiser, and kinder. Thank you for watching. And remember, every step you take with wisdom brings you closer to a life of true meaning. See you in the next video.